Hello again. So this video is about audio and how you can get your simulator to sound the best. So you've heard me talk in some of the earlier videos, if you watch them, about immersion and how you can get the best feel of realism from your simulator. And sound is one of those things that you need to focus on. It's worth spending some time just fiddling and tweaking with the sound to get it just how you want it. I've played around quite a bit with various programs, software and hardware to look at how my sound might work. If you've seen some of the earlier videos, you'll know that I've got two PCs, one running the main simulator and another one running across the network, air traffic control, weather and the panels, and that gives some of its own challenges with sound because I use pilot to ATC, and that relies on sound going out from the headphones to the network PC and then back sound back into the headphones. So what I've come back to is a hardware solution. So I've actually got a pair of the Astro A50. They're wireless headphones. They're really comfortable. They're chargeable, so there are no issues with wires getting in the way, and they simply give the best sound in my opinion. And I'll talk a little bit now about how you can set those up so that you can get that sound two ways across to your network PC. So here you have a representation of the main flight simulator computer and the network computer running ATC, weather and panels, and at the bottom the Astro A50. So you need to take an optical cable from the optical out and the sound card on the main computer and plug that into the opt-in connection on the Astro base station, and then from the micro USB on the Astro base station you need to take a USB cable out to a USB port on the network computer. And then if you're running a book kicker or speakers, you can take and use the optical out connection on the Astro base station using an optical cable and plug that in to a digital audio converter, which will allow you to use a 3.5mm plug out to your book kicker or whatever else. So regardless of whether you've got a network PC or not, I still think the Astros are a straightforward way. You can connect up to the main PC. They are a little bit fiddly if you have VR, as I do. So sometimes I fly on the 4K TV, and sometimes more often I fly in VR. And I've got Reverb G2 headphones, which are fantastic, by the way. By far the best headphones for VR in the flight simulator. But they do have inbuilt earphones, and I've watched quite a few videos. There are some mixed feelings about the off-ear earphones in the G2. I personally think they're great. They're really clear spatial sound where you can see where you can hear where the sound is coming from. Is really useful for VR, but in my opinion they are a little bit quiet and they lose a little bit of bass in the flight simulators. So I've taken them off the G2 and I use the Astro headphones. It's a little bit more fiddly taking the headphones on and off after you've put the VR on, but in my opinion that is worth it for the much better sound. So in summary, the Astros give you really clear sound, optical sound, which I think is the best way to deliver sound from the sound card. It's once and done, so I can use them on the PC, on Prepare 3D, on Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, whichever program I choose to use, they work the same. They work ideally with the butt kicker or external speakers or whatever else you want to connect the sound out to, as well as your headphones. And they work with both the VR and the 4K TV, just once and done. So that is my recommended solution. So I have looked at some other software solutions, and I've played around with quite a few of them, and I've settled on 3 really that I would recommend to a greater or lesser extent. So the first one is a program called Lan Audio Monitor. This is possibly the fiddliest of the 3 programs, partly because when you set it up, you've got to send off for an activation code, and that's tied into your machine code. So if, like me, you reinstall the computer or the base operating software a number of times, it can be a little bit fiddly, but it is probably the most straightforward actually to set up once you've got it registered. Second one is a program by Stardock. Stardock, I've not seen as much about Stardock since Windows became much more effective at setting up its own themes and layout, but Stardock is a pretty good company, and they make a program called Acoustic Bridge, which is slightly more configurable, but again pretty straightforward to set up. And then last but not least, the first place, in my opinion, the one that I would recommend, the one I keep coming back to, is a program called Airfoil. Both of the PCs have to have a piece of software running on them. Each of them have a sender or a receiver element. In the case of Airfoil, the receiver element is called Airfoil Satellite. And I'll go through and just show you in a little bit more detail each of these 3 software choices now. So the first one is Lan Audio Monitor. This is a pretty straightforward program. It's just 2 small subsets of the program. One goes on the sending machine, the sending end, and then the playing end is installed on the machine that's receiving the audio. You just need to make sure you put the right IP address, the same IP address in both of the programs, and you might just need to tweak your antivirus or your firewall just to allow the sound to pass across your local network. And that's all there is to it. Pretty straightforward and pretty effective. The second one is Acoustic Bridge, a program by Stardock. This is the same program installed on both of the computers. It gives the computer address, provides a passcode. You need to make sure the same passcode is on both machines. Slightly more configurable. It can tell you when and how and where you want to send the audio, and it's possible to lock the settings once you've got them where you want them. And then you just need to select either the sending or the receiving tab, depending on which machine it's on. And last but not least, Airfoil. I think I said earlier, my personal favourite after the A50s that we've spoken about. So this is a very straightforward program. Again, a little bit, more configurable. You can pick particular speakers or PC to receive the audio. You install this one on the sending machine. Just switch on the particular speakers you want to send the audio to, and then on the receiving machine you install something called Airfoil Satellite. Again, a pretty straightforward program, pretty easy to configure. You can see you can select the speakers that are going to receive the audio, and you can see the audio soundbar being received at the top if it is working. Okay, so as you can see, they're pretty straightforward to set up. As I say, Airfoil would be my preferred choice. Each of them can be set up so that they auto start with the PCs, both the main PC and the client PC across the network. The main benefit of the software solution is if you want to stream or you want to video your flight and the sound is coming from ATC on from a separate computer, you need it on the main computer, obviously, where you're videoing. So really the Astros wouldn't work for that. You would need one of those software solutions, and I tend to mix and match. If I am videoing and using sound from air traffic control, then obviously I would use Airfoil. Entirely your choice though, and I would recommend that you try them out and see which one fits your needs. The main downside of the software solution is that those of you who fiddle with the network will know that Windows and in particular, but any network management can be fiddly, can be unpredictable, and so without the network and the firewall in particular playing nicely, the software solutions can be unpredictable. So the last program that I wanted to mention was one that I stumbled over really, and it's a program called Voice Meter, MEETER. Again, a one-size-fits-all program, a program that you can use to have one primary source. So you set it up as your primary source for your PC sound, and then it can create outputs to different headphones and or the butt kicker, and give you more options in terms of how you set your sound up. And I'll go through that in a bit more detail now. So Voice Meter is pretty easy to configure. It's a free program, but I encourage you to make a donation. If you look at the menu, you can set it to auto start, and how it shows on the desktop. There's a number of other configurable options, and if you get stuck, you can restart the audio engine. The top right, A1 and A2, you can set the output. So in this case, the digital out and headphones, and they can be reconfigured as you see fit. Once the sound is being received and it's set as a primary sound source on the PC, you can adjust the volume, the mix, the balance, and also the bass and medium and high tones. In particular for the engines on the plane, being able to increase the bass and change the high tones is really quite useful. And last but not least, you can set the hardware input for a mic or mics to mix in. So I hope that was useful. Voice Meter is one of the most versatile programs I've come across for a while, and it's free, so I'd encourage you to make a donation. But it is really powerful. It gives you lots of opportunities to configure sound on your computer to different outputs, and it is really straightforward to use. So that's all I've got for you today. If you thought that was useful, then feel free to like the video. If you want to subscribe or click the bell button, then you'll get updated when new videos are uploaded. And I really welcome any feedback or comments that you've got, anything that you would like to see in future videos. That's all I've got for you today, and I'll catch you next time.